doing this in 2020. We literally started in March of 2020, every single week. I think, did we start doing it more than once a week back then?
More than once a week. We were doing what, twice
Doing it
twice a week.
back then?
More than once a week. We were doing what, twice a week.
Am I echoing, guys?
No, it was because of Facebook.
Oh, okay, got it. Awesome. So what we want to talk about today, I love the title, What Really Happened? And Rajiv, you had a brilliant thought about talking about the months that were. So the past few months, where there's been all kinds of questions, concerns, worry, even for a lot of people, for some people, very legitimate worry. For others, just sitting on the fence, not sure what to do. But our favorite word, I think, these past 6 months has been perspective. And I think that I really want to, Xerxes, are you jumping right ahead into this presentation?
No, I apologize. It's on a different computer today, so it's
so it's not feeling.
It's got a mind of its own.
Xerxes is joining from, what is this? Is this a staycation middle of the week?
No. Just helping out. That's all.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So working from home, except another home. So yeah, so I mean, we want to talk about what's happened in the last few months, and by taking a step back, because when you're right in the midst of everything that goes on, then you get really tied in to, there's a rate increase, and then a couple of weeks later there's another one, a couple of weeks later there's another one, and then that can just really spiral into something that causes all of that worry. But today we want to take a few steps back.
Absolutely. This is first of all, you're sitting at our Yonge Street office, and which is a very heavy duty traffic area.
Yes.
Best area actually for all kind of energy activity, right? So you can take a walk and you hear all kind of sirens and
you can hear everything in the back, right?
Yes, yes. But don't worry, you're in the heart of almost you're in my midtown, so great location. So Geeta, yes, absolutely. Because everybody, I have, since like you rightly started, we got onto the Zoom calls and all since COVID was active in 2020. And we all pivoted and started talking to the world the way we are talking right now. And things change, and how the roller coaster ride went, at a rocket pace at one time, and suddenly it paused at a certain time. And this 2022 was a new change, which was stabilizing, and suddenly still the fear was there based on the mortgage rates. Xerxes and I have been talking along with Nick in the office for all these times, that how human mind has been fluctuating with just like blood pressure, goes up and down, emotions are going up and down, mortgage rates are going up and down, all those palpitations, anxiety comes with this change, because change is the only thing which is constant. Mm-hmm. And mortgage rates have been changing, market has been changing. It's the only thing is pivoting and understanding what exactly is happening.
And again, coming back to perspective. So
yes.
Xerxes, did you want to move forward?
Yeah, so just to give people perspective, if we look at 2021 and 2022, we need to pay attention to the sales. The sales determines we're looking at the actual demand relative to the previous year. And if we look at January, demand very strong, very similar. February, very strong, very similar. March is when we started seeing the drop off a little bit. I think when people felt like we kept hearing like, oh, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. Things are going up at a rapid pace. And then we started hearing the announcements of the interest rate increases. So we saw about a 30% drop in the demand. However, what I do want people to pay attention to is that we also saw a 20% increase year over year in the pricings.
Yep.
So again, perspective. If we look at April, right, again, we still see approximately a 15% differential in pricing, even though there was a 50% drop almost, not 50, about 40% drop in the demand. May, again, when we look at the numbers, we saw actually demand relative to the previous year was a bit higher. And prices smoothened out a little bit more. But again, year over year, people were still up $100,000. And keep in mind, the people who bought in 21, not only did they buy at a cheaper price, they also got an incredible mortgage rate. So they're building equity at a very rapid pace. And then in June, we still see an increase in the values, even though demand is relatively down. July is when things smoothened out. And I think this is where, keep in mind, these are averages, different markets play different numbers. So what I mean by that is, you may find that in certain neighborhoods, the values are still higher year over year. You may find for different products, values are different year over year.
So I just want to interject, Xerxes, and mention the email that we sent out yesterday gives this analogy, which I really liked, and it explains it well, that if in a room at a party, you have a grandfather that is 87 years old, his son or daughter that is 55 years old, and their child, again, that is now 28, and then there's a baby that is 2. You take the average age of those 4 people in the room, and it's going to come somewhere at like 44. But 44 is not a true reflection of any of those 4 people that are sitting in the room, which is why when you say, these are average prices, depending on where you're at, what the home type is, a lot of it could be very, very different. And one thing as well, as you went through these numbers, July being the only month where price points were marginally, actually the price point was still a little bit higher.
Slightly, but keep in mind, I would like people to also, we're looking at demand, we're looking at prices, but what we're not focusing on is trends. And if everybody pays attention to whether it was 2021, which everybody raves about how amazing that market was, right? Well, look at it. In June and July, relative to May, relative to April, right? Demand was down. Prices were down. Every summer.
Because traditionally, that's what happens. And so it's not any different this year.
And I can tell you, Geeta, for the few clients we've been putting offers in the last 2 weeks for, and it's ranging to $2 million properties. It's ranging to condos. And even on the listings, I'm finding we are getting a lot more activity in the last 2 weeks. I mean, whether it's permanent or temporary, it's too early to tell. But, when there's opportunity, there's opportunity. And being at the right place at the right time, timing is everything.
There's definitely been a shift. I think we've all experienced that, where we're seeing that shift, both in terms of the summer coming to an end and, people that were already thinking about it, starting to kind of come out of the woodworks and start to have those conversations. But also, like you said, seeing properties where there's a lot more demand and in some cases, multiple offers on them.
Now, this chart is the definition of don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. Because we always have said, I think I say this pretty much every week now, that this is a long-term gain. For people who are looking to flip and be flippers, there's going to be a high risk factor to it. There's going to be that risk threshold that you have to have in order to make it. It is not a magic formula. But in the long term, just look at just look at pre-COVID values to today, like literally pre-COVID. I'm not even talking about like a long time. Like I'm not talking about 2015, 2014, 2019 numbers today.
Mhm.
Like the average price point of a home in January in 2019 was just shy of 800,000, and today it's just over 1.2 million.
Mhm.
That is a 50% increase in value in 4 years. And keep in mind, it's not even 50%, because really speaking, how many people are putting down 100% value of their home? If you actually look at it from a 20% down payment on, let's say 800,000, if I put down 20% in 2019, that was 160,000. Today, the home is worth say 1.2 million. The 160,000 has made me $400,000 on top of the money I've paid down over the years.
Exactly. And this is fairly unique to the Toronto market, because when you take other metropolitan cities across the world, the rate at which the prices have gone up and the speed with which that's happened is probably exclusive to Toronto. And that's why, and I don't want to put it this way, but I'm going to say people have been spoiled. They've been spoiled with the kinds of increases that have taken place year over year, because with the exception of a brief 6-month period in 2008, another 3-month period in 2017, and now, I mean, if you want to call it a little, because this is not a standstill by any way, but a brief slowdown right now, aside from that, it has all been an upward trend. And
100%.
fast. So where before maybe 1 to 2% year over year is considered very common, people will say, oh, but we're still just a little bit over last June or July.
I think we are having a great
market.
I think we are having a great conversation, because every time we talk about what's happening to the market this week and that month and this month, this reflection is such an important thing. Is collectively, I mean, the way I'm looking at it, I would like to bring another thoughts here. Is that collectively, three of us on the screen, we are 55 years experience, right? I'm almost 20 years. Geeta's almost 15 years. Zux is 10 years. So we are almost 55 years of collective experience, but at the same time, we are three different zones. Markets were different in my time when I started, and market was different in Geeta's time when Geeta started, and market was different in Zux's time. And where I'm getting at is, yesterday I was at a doctor's appointment, and they said, "Oh, you're a real estate broker. So what do you think market is happening to?" I said, market is nothing wrong with the market. It's how people look at it. I said, especially the last 10 years, people have enjoyed virtually free money, and everybody got used to it, a free money, and suddenly the things started changing in the last few years. Now they're used to one style, and now they are getting a shockwave, and especially the new generation, who are the first-time buyers or first-time investors, it's shocking for them. That is where the thing is. They didn't realize. Now, it was shocking for us when we came to know that, even though when I got in the business, and we got our first property at 8% interest rate, 7% interest rate, before us, they were paying 15 to 20% interest rate.
Yeah.
So, this is how it changes. But the prices, I'm going to say here is that, like you just repeated that, buy real estate and wait. But if you hear all the gurus of investment of every industry in today's day, which I listen to almost virtually every day, 3-4 different kind of industries, but gurus, is what they are talking is, and they're talking fact. When COVID hit, everything got totally slowed down and jammed, just like a traffic jam. But when people started becoming comfortable with the COVID situation and trying to pivot and move forward in a different way, they were so comfortable that they started running too fast. And when you're running too fast, the market, while the money is cheap, it really skyrocketed, especially this first couple of months of the year. And it went over and beyond. And now suddenly government realized it's really getting, so the prices went up. Now today the prices have come down. They have not crashed. They've actually come down. If you go back to the same slide which you were showing, one before success, you will see the June July prices of last year and June July prices of this year are not too far.
Mhm.
The average price is still that this is called a balanced market. We are actually back to a balanced market where month by month there is a expected growth of anywhere from 3 to 7%. Whereas if you see the first month of March, April, and even including January, February, March, it went way up there.
I think in the long run, we're in a fantastic city. I know that a lot of people come to Toronto or Canada and they think, oh my God, the cold. But look everywhere around you. Europe with the heat wave, Asia. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday and I was talking about dried up rivers everywhere in the world, including the United States. And we have water. These are factors that are going to play in long term. These are not
100%.
factors. And
100%.
I think that I know that this could be an anomaly, 100% this is, but again, let's go back to that term trends. The trend is from an environmental and climate change standpoint, these are going to make differences. When people don't have clean water to drink, when they're given no option, change will happen. And that change could include new technology, that change could include immigration. So the fact of the matter remains that I think we're in a very good position. And honestly, from a global perspective, I think we're still a relatively cheap city. The fact that it remains the people living in Toronto with the salaries that they're earning, from that relative standpoint, it is expensive.
And not only that, yes, absolutely from that standpoint. And the other piece being not enough affordable housing options, because that puts so much pressure on the leasing side of things, and then that in turn impacts the resale market. So both those things, salaries and talking about availability of affordable options, is something that lies with the government. But we know that TREB and other industry owners are working with the government to make sure that those things take place. The thing is, it's a very slow moving process.
Yeah.
But a lot of it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a great city to live in.
100%.
Absolutely. I concur what both of you have shared. I can just say, add on to one more thing, is that what the market touched in January, February, March this year, that will happen again. I don't know when. I can't pinpoint a timeline, but that will happen again and probably beyond that. So this would be, while the market is still stabilizing, it's still at a price point which is more better than what it was in January, February, March. Now would be the time for all the buyers to get into the market, take serious steps, and start making an effort of buying something for themselves in an educated way.
And Rajiv, this is the perfect segue into what I'm about to talk about here.
Yes, and I would add to that, Rajiv, that along with the buyers get into the market, it's also the sellers that are in the market start, be in the market, come into the market if you haven't already listed, because there's no this wait and watch game. It only works if you don't really need to make a move. But if you do need to make a move, don't wait. Just take actions.
Absolutely.
So, I just want to talk about, there's a lot of, I know I've been speaking to a lot of buyers who are going, oh, I wish I was buying at February's interest rates. So I just want to give people perspective. So in February, the average home price in the GTA, I'm talking about a freehold property, was just over 1.3 million. Today, that's about $1,075,000, the difference being about just over $250,000, which is a significant amount of money. But how does the math work? When we have to look at things holistically. We cannot just look at one pinpoint access. Like, yes, of course, house prices are cheaper. Yes, of course, interest rates have more than doubled. But when is it really cheaper from a holistic standpoint to buy a home today, or was it cheaper in February? and what is a better deal. So if you could, assuming you could afford a home in February, that same home today is what we're talking about. The down payment required would be about $50,000 less. So this is not the $260,000 in the house price. This is actually assuming you took an 80-20 mortgage and you put down 20%. You would actually retain close to $50,000 in your pocket. I've not even touched on the fact that you would pay less land transfer tax and you would be paying less, whatever X, Y, and Z fees associated with getting your home. So even if we don't touch on that, all right, then we look at the mortgage required. So keep in mind, guys, we're about 6 months apart now from February to now, approximately. So this comes into terms when you're talking about mortgage renewals. When we're at that 6-month mark, you can lock into a new with very minimal or no penalties, typically. So if the mortgage required in February would have been just over $1,060,000, today that number is about $860,000, a way more secure number. Me as a buyer, I feel way more secure carrying $860,000 worth of mortgage versus $200,000 more. But my interest rate, the cost to carry that mortgage has more than doubled, right? But after 5 years, what happens? In February, the great part with the low interest rate is that you're eating a lot of principal away. Your mortgage payment would be about $4,200 a month. In today's day and age, your principal paid would be about $70,000. But the mortgage remaining after 5 years is the important piece, because they're both 30-year mortgages. At the end of 30 years, you're at zero. So after 5 years, you'd be about $136,000 ahead if you bought today than if you had bought in February for the exact same home. Now, my monthly payments would still be higher today. It'd be $500 more a month. But if we take into account $500 over 60 payment, which is 5 years, that's $30,000, right? Given the fact that we saved, so we're paying $30,000 more over 5 years, but we saved $51,000 when we put on the saving of the down payment. So in my pocket, I've actually saved almost $22,000, right? In addition to that, after 5 years, when let's say in 5 years from now, I go and renew my mortgage, and Rajiv, you had bought in February and I had bought now, and there's that 6-month timeline where I could renew approximately the same time you as. At the end of the day, all things being equal, I'm carrying about $136,000 less of a mortgage than you. So let me ask you, would you rather have less of a mortgage of $136,000 and $21,000 in your pocket, or would you like to donate that to the bank?
You
don't get a tax write-off for that donation.
I really very, very, very glad to see what you have put it together as Access. This is excellent example for people to understand, and very good example, because these numbers actually hopefully will help people make a choice in their best interest, not in the bank's best interest.
Now, because what happens is most people, if you look at that row that you've got in there, approximate mortgage interest rate, most people look at the 2.5, look at the next column, 5.25, and then they freeze, right? And you've just taken it a step back. And like you said, look at things holistically.
And I can tell the audience that's listening to this and paying attention to this, if you are on the fence, should I buy now? Should I wait? The numbers are very simple. For every 1% increase rate in every 1% increase in a mortgage interest, prices have to come down 11%. Based on what I've seen in the market in the last 2 weeks, I don't see that happening in the short term. In fact, I see the opposite. So when prices go up and interest rates go up, then for sure you're on the losing end of things. But this is an opportunity for buyers who are on the fence, who are not sure, should I be upgrading? Should I be buying into the market? Should I be investing? This is the time, because it's like a stock price. If it's a stock price, and I know, Geeta, you've given this example before, if the stock price is $200, it comes down to 100. But now we're seeing that curve bottom out and it's at 105, 110. This is the time to be buying that stock, right? So
Exactly right.
especially if you're buying it long term, which is what we have always recommended to our clients. So in conclusion, that is what we're talking about today. If you have any questions and you'd like to delve deeper into this, reach out to us at info@teamrajpal.com. Follow us online on social media. We do a lot of educational videos. Geeta is the queen of educational videos on social media.
Oh, thank you.
And we are here and we do our weekly market updates as well. So you actually know the absorption rate of the market. Now is the time to be paying attention to those days on market, to what is the inventory, months of inventory on the market, both condos and houses. So follow us online or reach out to us and we're happy to add you to our mailer list. Have a wonderful day, guys.
You too?
Absolutely. And we
Happy
can
selling.
always meet in person at our Markham office or downtown office. It's easy. We have another Markham office on the east of Markham near Ninth Line. So, we have great facilities available where we can sit with people and on one-on-one basis.
And if
Perfect.
one-on-one doesn't work, well, we've always got good old Zoom to go and rely back on. So it's whatever.
Exactly.
works.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy selling.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Bye.